Hi everybody, it's Vivek here from Meaningful Ideas, talking about conscious parenting. And I want to share something with you, a concept that I teach parents called the gratitude response. It's so powerful. It's a way that you can really transform how your kids respond to you, how you respond to them first, and how they respond to you. And it's a way of kind of reframing the events that happen in your life with your kids so that they feel more connected, more accepted, and are more open and willing to receive our guidance. So a lot of the time, when our kids do something we don't want them to do, we complain. Or we tell them no, or we tell them it's wrong. A lot of the time, like for example, don't hit the dog, don't pull its tail, don't punch your sister, right? Don't climb on the back of the couch, don't, what other don'ts are there? Don't spill food on the floor, don't talk to me like that. All sorts of things. Get your homework, or positive things, get your homework done. Apparently positive things, get your homework done, clean your room. And then there's the, if you don't clean your room, then this is going to happen. Or the opposite, once you clean your room, then we can do the thing. All these different ways of expressing what we want with our kids actually causes us to disconnect from them, or causes them to disconnect from us. Well, it's really both. And this disconnection continues to build and build and build over time as we treat our kids that way on a regular basis. And the layers build up and the patterns get entrenched, and then suddenly, you have a 4-year-old that won't listen, and a 10-year-old that's rude, and a 13-year-old that's sneaking out, and a 16-year-old that doesn't even want to talk to you anymore. And this is so common, I'm part of a Facebook group, parenting Facebook group called Gentle Parents Unite, that has over 40,000 members in it. So I've been watching a very large sample size for a number of years, and I can tell you that this thing is one of the main things that parents complain about. Comparents, I was going to say. Complaining parents is parents' complaints is comparents. But yeah, it's one of the main things that parents complain about is that the kids won't listen, that they're disrespectful, and then like I said, the disconnection keeps growing. So one of the reasons that this happens is something I call SMABO. SMABO is an acronym for Small Moments Affect Big Ones. SMABO, SMABO. And whenever I do workshops, I always get the whole audience to yell out, SMABO! And SMABO is so important because we don't think of how all the little moments throughout the day, how they add up. They build layers and they build layers and they entrench these kind of adversarial patterns, coercive patterns, between us and our kids, such that they can't really see us anymore, they can't hear us anymore, they can't feel us anymore, and it's hard for us to really tune into them and feel them. And that's what really deep relationships are about, they really flourish when we can see each other, when we feel seen by the other, and then we're willing to work together and collaborate together. So that's what the gratitude response is about, because when we shift how we respond to people, we end up creating new patterns and new layers, and it can shift how we interact with them. And if you start this early, then you have a lot less repatterning to do. But even if you start it late, you can still do the repatterning and end up with something that's very different from how the traditional parenting thing almost predictably turns out. So one of the things is that when we receive, is how powerful it is to receive gratitude. So the gratitude response is, let me say that first. So the gratitude response is, whenever our child does something, regardless of whether it's the thing that we love most in the world about them or the thing that pisses us off the most, we respond first with gratitude. Gratitude saying, I appreciate you. Thank you for this. Now the thing is, we don't always want to thank them for everything they do, but if we can look under the surface of what they're doing and find something to be appreciative of, then we can help them feel that we see them. You know what I mean? See them as in, see that they're not bad, that they're trying their best, that they're really, good people with a loving core and a kind heart, and they're having trouble with their emotions, or they're having trouble making decisions, or they're having trouble managing whatever life is putting on them at the moment. And they just don't have the coping mechanisms built in to respond elegantly and caringly and effectively yet. So we have the opportunity to help them learn those things, right? We're not helping them learn those things when we're complaining about them, when we're punishing them, when we're criticizing them. We're not helping them learn. And I want to help them learn. That's what I want. I talk about 3 primary relationships that parents foster with their children in creating a collaborative, connected, non-coercive, non-threatening, non-controlling, non-authoritative relationship. And that is the relationship of model, guide, and friend. Model is how we walk in the world. Guide is how we share with them our wisdom. And friend is the relationship of equals and connection, love, respect, and like I said, seeing each other and being seen. And so if we can work with the model guide friend model, with the model guide friend system, it's very different from the authoritative system. And so what happens is the gratitude response comes as the guide and the model. The reason that the gratitude response is so important with the guide relationship is because it helps them learn to trust us as their guides. Because again, you can notice pretty soon that kids don't want to listen to your guidance, I mean, if you tell your kid brush your teeth, and they go, wow, great, I'd love to brush my teeth, mommy and daddy, thank you so much for telling me this is probably going to be really good for me if you suggest it. This video is not for you. You don't have a problem, or at least you don't have this problem, and you're probably already doing the gratitude response in one form or another. But if when you say pick up your stuff, clean your room, brush your teeth, don't hit your brother, you get an argument, or you get an eye roll, or you get someone resisting you, or, like intentionally doing the opposite. And a lot of the time what kids will do when you tell them not to do something is they will intentionally do the thing with a big smile on their face. And every parent that tells me that story thinks their kid is like abnormal in some way because they have this glee in their eye when they're doing something bad or violent or mean. But it's so common, it happens so common because they're not being mean. They're protecting something inside of themselves. They're closing off their heart and their softness, closing it to protect it because it's being attacked from the outside. But if we can create an environment, and that's what the gratitude response is about, it's one of the ways, one of the elements, if we can create an environment where they feel welcome to make mistakes, where they feel welcome in their learning process and their flawed humanity, their wounds, and figuring stuff out and not doing it perfectly. When they feel welcome in that, when they feel safe and embraced in that, when they can be rude, and then we can be soft with them, and they learn from us. They learn that they can trust us to guide them. If we can keep that relationship building, the relationship of trust, it's amazing. So, the gratitude response is in that moment that something happens. You seek for something to be grateful for. So, for example, let's say the kid takes a handful of spaghetti and throws it on the floor you've just cleaned. You can say, wow, I really appreciate how powerful you threw that spaghetti. Really strong, and there was so much energy behind it when you did that. That was quite a throw. Or you can say, oh, I love the artwork that's created. It's so artistic, the way that the spaghetti landed on the floor. It's so interesting. Thank you for creating this piece of art for me to enjoy. I'm going to clean it up now. Would you like to help me? It's such a beautiful piece of art. Let's take a picture of it first. I think that'll be so great. The gratitude response. I didn't say that they have to clean it up. I invited them. Now here's the thing. Most parents would say, and I really mean most, because it's not you, but it's the almost ubiquitous ideology of how to train kids to not throw the spaghetti, is to say if I'm pleasant with them when that happens, it's like rewarding bad behavior, and it's going to repeat the bad behavior. But that's not how things work. It's not how we're not training a rat to run through a maze or a pigeon to tap on a button. With positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement, and with the withdrawal of positive reinforcement. We're not doing that. That's for the lab. This is the home. The home is not a lab. It's not a place of business, because a lot of people say, oh, but in the real world, when they go out into the real world and business and the real world and punishments and consequences, real world, but this is my home. It's not a business. And we're in love with each other because you're my child, It's not, I'm not your boss. Let's have this deep, loving, collaborative, connecting, understanding, caring relationship. We have the choice to create that from the beginning, and a lot of the time the traditional parenting mindset destroys that. And it's not anyone's fault. because we've inherited this mindset from thousands of years of history. And changing it is hard. I know changing it is hard. Whenever I post a "Don't Punish Your Kids" thing on Facebook, I always get so many people saying, "Oh, your kids are going to run wild. Your kids are going to run wild. You're rewarding bad behavior." But the fact is, and again, 40,000 parents over the last 4 or 5 years I've been watching, the majority of them come in saying, the punishment's not working, taking away their things isn't working, the grounding isn't working, they just don't care anymore, and now they're doing whatever they want, predictably, time after time after time. The other side of it is, of course, that the kid's spirit is broken so much from having these punishments that they acquiesce and they comply. But, like compliance and resistance are two sides of the same coin. Neither of them are authentic relationship. Neither of them are really caring about the environment, caring about each other, and making decisions based on that care, and caring about ourselves. A community that works really harmoniously is a community that cares about each other, a community that cares about ourselves and our own needs, and also about the environment and the project that we're working on. The project is running a family, perhaps. The project is running a business. The project is running the school council, whatever it is. So some of the things that you can say to your kids are, for example, let's say your kid gets really upset with you for something. Let's say you said, look, it's time to go. We have to go. And they're like, no, I'm so angry. Whatever their anger expression is. Swearing, kicking, throwing something, whatever it is. You can say, thank you for showing me your feelings. Thank you for showing me that you're so upset. Now I can help you and we can work through this together. One of the common things that you hear in conscious parenting, positive parenting circles is to say, I won't let you hit me, or I can't let you hit me. So a lot of parents will say, I won't let you hit me, or I can't let you hit me, or I can't let you hit the dog. It's not necessary to say that. First of all, I can't let you has this whole power dynamic over it. I'm bigger and I can't let you, I won't let you, and I'm stopping you physically, moving you. So of course, if they're hitting the baby or whatever, or hitting the dog, stop them. I'm not saying let them hit the dog or let them hit the baby. If they're hitting you and it doesn't hurt that much, maybe let them hit you. But if they're hitting someone vulnerable, stop them. But saying I'm not going to let you adds a whole dimension of power and a whole dimension of restriction. What I say is, thank you for showing me as I'm picking them up and moving them, thank you for showing me your feelings. You're so upset right now. I really appreciate knowing that. Now I can help you. Of course you'd be upset in a situation like this. Let's work it out. Don't want you to be upset. I want to help you through this. I'm here for you with your feelings, and if their feelings are big, be with them in their feelings. You're so angry, I'm with you. If they relax into you, then you have, you've struck a nerve because they're wanting to be seen. But if you say, I can't let you hit me, you're just going to get this struggle. The gratitude response is different, right? The gratitude response opens the heart. It softens the mind because there's less to fight against. I'm fighting this intense issue here. The reason I hit the baby is because I'm lashing out for something that's hard for me to handle inside. It's some kind of instinct. They're acting in a way that is coming from their environment, the best they know how to do. And we want to have the opportunity to help them know better. And when we give them the gratitude, it deepens the connection necessary for us to help them know better. But even for the people who do know better, for example, my mother does workshops in prisons every week. For the last 7 years, she's been doing workshops in prisons every week. And I assist her, and I go in once every 6 weeks as a guest speaker, and I talk to the guys. She's in there every week. And she, embodies this gratitude response, this ability to see them and see the beauty and the light and the love inside of them. And they respond to it, and they want to change for her. They want to change because she awakens something inside of them that's so powerful and so beautiful. And so even with adults, it has a profound effect. A much more profound, the jail and the threat of punishment of the jail does not stop most of them. They come back in time and time again. I've met people who are 50 who've been in jail for 30 of those 50 years. That's a long time to be in prison. And it's not 30 years in a row. It's in and out, in and out, in and out, And then they meet my mom, who offers them this unconditional acceptance and love and gratitude for who they are beneath the wounds, beneath the layers of pain and disconnection, and from what other people have done to them, but also from their own choices. It all hurts. And she holds them in the same space that I'm talking about. and it transforms them. Just last Tuesday I was there, and one of the social workers came to me as I was walking out to the car. She was in doing her workshop, and they said to me, Vivek, your mom is the most talked about course in the whole institution. She said every time a guy has an interview or a peer review or any kind of thing where they have to get up and speak in front of other people, or their one-on-one counseling sessions, the majority of what they talk about is your mom and how she makes them feel and how she inspires them to want to be better, to want to be their best selves, and to want to really care for others the way that they feel they've been cared about, because now they know how it feels, and nothing has ever felt as good. These big men, lifetimes in jail, and the muscles, and always in the fights and everything, and they're weeping in her arms. And she's this big, right? She's this big, and they're this big, and they're weeping in her arms because she touches something inside of them that they've been longing for, and they didn't know they were longing for. And when we have the opportunity as parents, we have the opportunity to give this to our kids from the ground up. This is what's so beautiful about the gratitude response and the whole gentle parenting movement. Speaking of which, please join Gentle Parents Unite, the Facebook group. And if you want even more I'm kind of doing like mid-video marketing. If you want to do even more personalized work with me and my two colleagues who are part of GPU, Gentle Parents Unite, you can also join the Patreon that we have, which is a paid subscription service. Now, of course, being the kind of person I am, and my two colleagues, Margie and Sujai, the three of us all share very similar values, and so we've made it a pay-what-you-can Patreon, as opposed to having tiers where $10 you get this many calls, and $50 you get this, and we don't really have that. We have one tier, but basically it's pay-what-you-can. So if you have, if you have a lot of money and you'd like to share the wealth with the people who are supporting you, you can do that, and if you only can afford $1 a month, then that's all you have to pay. It's a really beautiful, I think, way that we're structuring it right now. And in there, we have 2 weekly meditations, 3 weekly group coaching calls. We have all these different live question and answer events. We have all of these different things. There's an NVC course. There's a course on Byron Katie's The Work. And there's all sorts of things going on. I myself am creating a whole set of meditations just for parents in this Patreon. And we also have a public podcast called the Gentle Parents Unite, Becoming Gentle Podcast. You just type in Gentle Parents Unite anywhere, really anywhere that podcasts are broadcast from, you can find us. So going back to thank you, please follow. So another sentence you can say to your kids is, thank you for showing me your boundaries. Thank you for asserting your boundaries. Now here's something beautiful, right? If a kid says, no, I don't want to brush my teeth. No. We can insist, we can hold them down, jab the toothbrush into their face, and a lot of parents feel they have to do that under the fear of the dentist. But this creates such a painful connection to teeth and to hygiene and to self-care and again to even just insisting that they do under threat or under some kind of force, even relational threat, like I'll like you more if you do this and I'll like you less if you don't. Even if you never say it, just the feeling of it, right? It's so painful, and it creates this association with it. Same with sleep, same with food, and hygiene, like I said, and relationships and communication and work and like housework and everything. We shoot ourselves in the foot so often by relating with kids coercively and with this control mindset, because it creates these really negative associations. The gratitude response, however, helps us create patterns of positive association with things so that we can continue to engage in them consciously with our kids for a long, long time. Thank you for asserting your boundaries is a way of saying you know your body. So what I say is thank you for asserting your boundaries. Thank you for showing me that this is not something you want to do. You know your body really well. And I know you love your body and you want to care for it. And this is a moment where you're really listening to your body. And I'm going to honor that. Thank you. Parents will say, but if I do that, my kid will never brush their teeth. And that isn't the case. Time after time after time after time, 40,000 people, time after time, parents have shifted how they relate to those things. And it's not true that their kids never will. It's not true. Things shift when the relationship shifts. And thank you for listening to your body is another powerful statement, isn't it? Because what it does is it helps kids tune into the fact that that's what they're doing. I was spending some time with a 4-year-old this past summer, a 4-year-old friend of mine. and we were just sitting around and talking, and he was talking about the things he likes to eat, and how he was really hungry, and I didn't have any food, and then I thought, well, I might have this back at my in my room. We were at an event, and so I was staying we were all staying in dorms, and I said, I might have some food in my room. He said, what do you got? So I told him the different things I had, and finally when I said granola bar, he got excited, and he wanted the granola bar. I said, you know what, I could really see that you were listening to your body with each of the suggestions that I made, and when your body told you the right one, you got happy and you listened to it. And I said, thank you for doing that. And he got so happy. He was like, I do listen to my body. I learned to listen to my body. I like to listen to my body. I don't know if he had heard that before or not, but the idea resonated with him so much that he just loved it. And so this is how we can really help kids kind of learn about themselves and uplift themselves. I have always encouraged my kid to listen to her body, and whatever decision she made about her body, I always honored it. And just a couple of months ago, I remember this moment so clearly. I was deciding whether I wanted to eat a certain thing. And she said, Dad, you have to listen to your body. I loved it. She said, sometimes you don't want to eat it, but your body tells you to because it needs it, and you need to listen to that. And sometimes you want to eat the thing, but your body tells you no, and you got to listen to that because the body knows. The body has its own wisdom. And I was like, thanks, kid. That's what I'm going to do. And I quieted my mind, and I tuned into my body, and I got the answer. It was a beautiful moment for the two of us. And I didn't have that growing up. Not really. So it took me years to learn to listen to my body again. And now that I do, I'm so much more in tune with it and getting more all the time. So that's why, when we offer the gratitude response to our kids, we're fulfilling some really deep needs inside of them that we don't see on the surface. And that's one of the reasons it has such a profound effect. For example, one of the deepest needs is the need to feel seen, to feel understood by someone. I saw a comic today on Facebook. It said, the early bird gets the worm. And the bird was sitting there with the worm going, so you dig through the earth and soak up nutrients, right? That sounds very interesting. And the bird says, you really get me. The early bird gets the worm. It was such a tender moment. And that's the feeling, right? It's the feeling of being seen. And seen means I'm valid, I'm okay, I'm okay as I am. Being okay as you are doesn't mean you're not learning, because that's the future. But in this present moment, as I am, with whatever's come to me, here I am, this is okay. It's a beautiful feeling. And the gratitude response really emphasizes that. It also it creates a sense of belonging, which is a powerful need for us humans, Even for the introverts who really want to spend a long time alone. Like I will sometimes spend days and not leave the house and be very happy. But there's still a sense of belonging to a community, belonging to a larger whole. And especially in a family, especially for a kid, that sense of belonging is so important. And so many kids lose that really quickly because they're told, this is my house. The parents will say, this is my house. As long as I'm paying the bills, you're going to do it my way because I'm in charge. And then it's not their home anymore, right? They don't have a sense of belonging. And that sense of belonging degrades. And then they have to fight. Or abandon the feeling altogether and enter into that state of hopelessness. None of that is good. None of that is what we want for our kids, right? We want them to feel a sense of belonging. Because it's from that sense of belonging that caring for the environment takes place, that caring for the others in the community take place. And that's what we really want. Going deeper under the surface of what creates the harmony that we're seeking. That's what's really important. And also there's a sense of acceptance, right? That's what I meant about being okay. But acceptance is like you love me even though I make mistakes. Even though I make mistakes, and I'm going to keep making mistakes because I'm a human and I'm a learning machine. I call myself a mistake-making machine. I'm a mistake-making machine because I make mistakes every day. So if I make mistakes every day, how can I punish and criticize my child for making mistakes? We're making them alongside each other. And the feeling that we're making them alongside each other, that's so beautiful. That's what the friendship of the model guide-friend relationship is about, right? It's that feeling that we're walking this path of life and learning alongside each other. So beautiful. And it opens the heart so much when that happens. It also lowers resistance when that happens. There's nothing to resist against, I used to say that traditional parenting is a lot like this. And then it can be better if it's like this. But I choose this, which turns into this, And it's so much more beautiful to have that, because there's nothing to fight against, you know. It's not about permissiveness. Permissiveness means you have the control to permit them to do something or not permit them to do something, and you hold the boundary to not permit them to do it because you're in charge and you have to. I'm stepping off that paradigm altogether and talking about having a deep learning relationship with each other, where you explore life, you collaborate on ideas, and you learn and you grow together. And this is so much, it's so different. It's so different. And yes, even young kids can understand this and can get on board with it, want to even. When we offer the gratitude as our first response, it also increases trust. You know, our kids trust that they can make mistakes and therefore are open to learning from them with us. You know, I was talking to a young person not too long ago, an 8-year-old friend of mine, and she was talking about, what was it? Oh, I know, she spilled some juice on the floor. Right there, actually. So I'm doing this in my apartment. She spilled it right over there. And the juice kind of went all over the floor. And she immediately caught this look of like fear in her eyes. And she looked at me, and my wife was there, my daughter were there. And the three of us were just smiling. Because in our house, it literally doesn't matter how big a mistake you make. You're not going to get in trouble. You cannot get in trouble. My daughter, in home, has never been in trouble. She doesn't know what that experience feels like from us, you know? So this kid's looking at us, and she's getting these big loving smiles, not knowing what's going on. And she says, "I'll get paper towel, I'll clean it up." And she goes to clean it up. And I said, "You don't have to clean it up, we can do it together." She goes, No, I'll do it. She said it's like a timeout. Because we had talked about timeouts earlier too, the difference between a timeout and a time in, and how it feels and what punishment does. Because anytime I'm with a kid, I'm going to tell them. I don't hesitate to tell a kid they don't deserve to be punished. And maybe it causes havoc in the home. I don't care. That's the kind of havoc I want. I'm a rabble rouser that way. So I said to her, "Do you know what mistakes are for?" She goes like this. She goes, "To learn from." And you could see that she was repeating what she had been told, but she didn't feel this joy. I made a mistake. Let's learn from it together. It wasn't that. You know, it was more about fear, right? And almost like I'm supposed to learn from. So I asked her. I'm supposed to learn from it. I asked her, "Do you know how to learn from mistakes, or do you know what that even really means?" She said no, because how to learn from mistakes was never taught to her. The fact that they're for learning, maybe somebody's told her that. But actually how to do it has never been taught to her, because a mistake equaled a complaint. A mistake equaled punishment. A mistake equaled the withdrawal of attention, or perhaps some disappointment, or whatever it is. Or a timeout, or go clean it up. You made the mess, you clean it up. But it wasn't a gratitude response consistently. And so learning from mistakes didn't become a part of her understanding. And this is how most kids grow up, and then we expect them to know how to learn from mistakes, and we expect them to learn emotional regulation, and we expect them to have good relationships with people when the model they've had has been a very punitive, controlling, coercive one. It's just really hard. But if we can really model for them the kind of communication that we want, and if we can model for them this graciousness of the gratitude response, and if we can really focus on the model guide friend. Oh, and I was talking about the 3 relationships inside the model guide friend is relationship with self, relationship with parent, and relationship with environment, which includes other people and all the systems we interface with, like the legal system, the education system, the financial system, the correctional system, if you do like me and my mom going into the prison every week, and all sorts of other systems, right? Traffic, and then interacting with other people, interacting with strangers, interacting with friends, interacting with intimate partners when they get to that age. All these things, interacting with authority figures, interacting with peers. There's so many different aspects of learning that take place, and when we focus on really enhancing their learning and really enhancing their confidence and their feeling around relationship with themselves, how they see themselves, how they think of themselves, relationship with us so that they trust us and they believe in us and they're willing to work with us, and then we're partners, learning partners, right? Learning partners as we go through life. And they learn to manage the different environments that they're going to find themselves in then we're giving them something really powerful. We're giving them a relationship with themselves so they can, as a foundation to go into the world, or giving them a relationship with us so that their home life and their experience becomes something really beautiful and positive, and a relationship that can last a lifetime. And this is something that is also gives us a great gift, because when that relationship really takes hold, our lives become so much more beautiful in our relationship with them, because we're not police managing them with punishments, or trying to motivate them with rewards to get them to do something they don't want to do, which nobody really wants to be forced, manipulated into doing something they don't want to do, right? So once we give all that stuff up and we focus on relationship instead, and we focus on the co-education and the learning together and the gratitude response, everything changes. Thank you very much for listening to this long one. My name is Vivek Patel. I'm from Meaningful Ideas. Also, Gentle Parents Unite, if you want to look us up on Patreon, and also the podcast, and also on Facebook. My personal Facebook page is Meaningful Ideas. My blog is meaningfulideas.com, and also I'm on YouTube and Instagram. So please check me out. And if you have any experience with the gratitude response, if you try it out, if you're challenged by it, please share with me. I'd love to hear about it. You can respond to the comments below. Thank you, everybody.